every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Anuluwakpo Olufela. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has disclosed that President Muhammadu Buhari is expected back in Nigeria on Sunday after the 10-day vacation in London. Speaking to State House correspondents just before the National Executive Council meeting holding in the council chambers, the Vice President confirmed that the President was in good health. President Muhammadu Buhari jetted out of Nigeria on Monday, June 6, on what the Special Advisor on Media described as routine vacation. The President also told journalists that he will take the opportunity to seek for medical advice on his hair problem.
He'll be back on Sunday. There's no point he's returning, rushing back on Friday or anything like that. He decided might as well just take the weekend off and be back on Sunday.
He's okay
ready,
now, sir?
ready. Oh yes, he's in perfect health. Ready to resume work on Monday morning. And I think that's the appropriate thing. Mr. President is in good condition. He is fine. He's very well. I think he should take a day or two off in London, rest a bit, and then come back hale and hearty on Sunday and be ready for work on Monday. So we expect him back on Sunday.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
In the meantime, the federal government says the balance of the excess crude account is $2.2 billion as at June 15th. Briefing State House correspondent Akwa Ibom State Governor Emmanuel Gudom says the recent forex policy introduced by the central bank also forms the crux of discourse at the 68th National Economic Council meeting. State House correspondent Abiola Oluwole completes the story. The arrival of Vice President Yemi Osinbajo signals the commencement of the National Economic Council meeting of the month of June. After hours of closed-door deliberation, Akwa Ibom State Governor briefed State House correspondents on the outcome of the meeting. He aside placing the balance of the excess crude account at $2.2 billion for the month of June, the governor says the new forex policy of the Apex Bank was also discussed at the meeting. It will be recalled that the Apex Bank recently rolled out foreign exchange policy aimed at preventing further weakness of Naira.
And the 90 billion and the budget support facility, they are one and the same thing. What the minister explained was that the first tranche of 50 billion bond will be issued, and then the later 40 billion total, making 90 billion. And it is just to make this available. It's not compulsory.
He also speaks on the social intervention programs of the federal government aimed at empowering graduates and non-graduates.
Almost everybody today who knows the advantages of having a flexible exchange policy. I think it's going to help the economy. It's going to help ease of access. And if you also listen to
the selection of states for the pilot scheme of the National School Feeding Program of the federal government was also discussed at the meeting. The pace of construction works on the nation's infrastructure, such as roads, power projects and the housing sector, will soon pick up with the authority to spend now granted the Ministry for the ramping up of works on major priority projects all over the country. This will, according to the Power, Works and Housing Minister, Babatunde Fashola, lead to return to work for those who were laid off by construction companies due to government's inability to pay contractors for over 3 years. Correspondent Cousin Kasali has details from Abuja.
For some time now, the issue of the release of funds for major priority projects by the federal government that will help in reflating the economy has been top of the agenda, with many wondering when the funds totaling over 350 billion naira will be released. But today, it is cheering news for those in the construction sector. Speaking at the podium put together by the Bishop Matthew Kuka Center, Power Works and Housing Minister discloses that the authority to spend has been given to the ministry that will now see to the release of funds for priority projects.
So people are beginning to get back to work, and what is happening therefore is that
An economy that has really stalled for about 2.5 years is beginning to wake up. And why did the economy stall? We had an unduly long electoral process.
Speaking on the topic, Fixing Nigeria, and in response to questions from the audience on the various issues affecting the development of the power works and housing sector, the minister says a lot is going on, but added that more still needs to be done to ensure that the sector delivers good quality service to Nigerians. He also urges Nigerians to see the issue of vandalism of public property in its true light and take ownership to prevent suffering by the masses.
Budgetary discipline is something that we must acquire, and I think that the president has led the way this time by showing that he will be interested in as much detail of his budget as is possible, because budget is what we really control.
In his speech after the interactive session, says the podium will be a continuous exercise as citizens' engagement by the center. He also challenges Nigerians to get involved in the process of national rebirth. Kazim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The federal government is alerting Nigerians on the existence of a newly launched mobile application developed by the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria ISIS for propagating jihad to children. In a statement issued in Abuja on Thursday, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says the mobile application, tagged Huruf in Arabic alphabet or letters, is to be used by ISIS to teach children the Arabic alphabet with the aid of guns, military tanks and cannons. The statement, signed by the Special Assistant to the Minister, Segun Adeyemi, also reviews that the application utilizes colorful illustrations that attract and engage the attention of young children, while urging members of the public in general and parents in particular to be vigilant and to prevent their children and words from being indoctrinated. The Senate Thursday celebrated With the African Child as a motion seeking the protection of all children's rights was deliberated on the floor of the Senate, sponsored by Oluremi Tinubu, Chairman Committee on Women Affairs, and 8 others. The motion observes that the education of the Nigerian child must be paramount on the mind of government. Jamil Ofegboa reports.
Children are a gift from God, and the need to care for them cannot be overemphasized. But many of these children are oftentimes left to their fate, as either government, their parents, the public seem to care very little for them. Worried by this development, a motion seeking that children be given more attention came up for debate at the Senate on this year's International Day for the African Child.
Though a campaign to end child marriage across Africa was launched in May 2014 by the African Union, and also attempts have been made to stop harmful practices such as female genital mutilation.
Many yet have neither seen the four walls of a university or any other form of education from birth to death, and so they need to make provisions for a sound educational background for their development, and that of the country is necessary. During the debate, it was touched on.
The basic education program, which is sufficiently captured under the UBEC Act, should be implemented to its latter, because education must be a right.
Blames have been traded on what could actually be responsible for the various vices children go into these days. And in an attempt to suggest, some put it down to poverty and asked that there should be an empowerment strategy that would help curb all forms of insurgencies.
Those things that are happening in our society today, the Boko Haram, the kidnapping, the Avengers, if you look at the background of those that are involved, those are children of the less fortunate.
Citing instances of cultural differences, some of the members agree that basic education is the key in the fight against underdeveloping the children.
And if we agree in our cultures, whichever culture that may be, that the children are the future, it means also that we must prepare them to be able to live properly. The
International Day for the African Child is celebrated on the 16th of every year, following the Soweto killings of children years back. Jamila Fegbo, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The African Union and other stakeholders are increasing awareness on children's rights as a way of commemorating the protest of 16 June 1976 over poor quality of education in Soweto, where over 100 children lost their lives. The AU says this year's theme, tagged Conflict and Crisis in Africa, Protecting All Children's Rights, targets the vulnerable. The union further notes that Nigerians faced with conflicts of the Boko Haram insurgency and the exposure of children to violations in IDP camps are worthy of every attention. Aniete Patrick has more in this report.
Member African Committee of Experts on the Rights and Welfare of Child say there is no framework regarding the child right law establishment in Nigeria, which would guide in a situational conflict.
And the non-adoption of a national policy or any other framework on internal displacement in Nigeria, this has dragged for a long time since the policy was presented before the National Assembly, maybe in the 7th or the 6th Assembly, and since then it has not been passed. And so there is no framework guiding humanitarian response in Nigeria.
Deputy Director Protection and Investigation of the Human Rights Commission say major violations of children that affect the most is that of rights to education and sexual abuse, which leaves the child vulnerable to the ills of conflict.
That most of the children don't have the intellectual capacity to acknowledge that what is being done to them is wrong. They don't also have the capacity to report to the appropriate authority.
Highlighting areas in which the UN Secretary General has identified the 6 grave areas of child violation rights, also the prohibition of children recruitment under the age of 15 in the international humanitarian law, which is unhindered in Nigeria particularly.
The AU has also established adopted the Africa Peace and Security Architecture. This is a key initiative of the AU founded to address issues of conflict prevention, conflict management, and post-conflict reconstruction.
With the setup of the multi-sectoral humanitarian response program under the National Emergency Management Agency, the group hopes for mainstreaming of child protection in the national polity. Aniete Patrick, CoreTV News, Abuja.
There is a growing concern worldwide over the plight of the African child in the face of era and other man-made conflicts. Worried by this phenomenon, government agencies and civil society groups like Plan International came together to address the plight of the African child. Our correspondent Emmanuel Ejene has the report.
It is a general concession that children are often the major victims and casualties of crisis anytime there is one in any part of the world. A typical example is Nigeria, where the activities of Boko Haram in the northeast has affected millions of children, either killed or displaced by Boko Haram insurgents. This is vividly captured by the country's director of Plan International Nigeria during this year's Day of the African Child to draw the attention to the situation of children, boys and girls in the country.
1 million children need access to education. 19,000 teachers have been displaced. In Borno State alone, it is reported that over 300 schools have been severely damaged or destroyed, and at least 196 teachers, 314 school children were killed in the period between 2012 and 2014. This is unacceptable.
Other dignitaries present are the Ministers of Education and that of Women Affairs and Social Development, who were ably represented by directors in their various ministries. They also speak on the traumas the children face as victims of war.
Nigeria has recorded appreciable progress in protecting the Nigerian children during conflict and crisis, particularly in the area of taking care of internally displaced children as a result of insurgency, especially in the northeast. Nigeria as a nation has witnessed an unprecedented level of insurgency from the year 2009 till date.
On our part, the ministry, in collaboration with various agencies of government, NGOs,
and other stakeholders, is committed to providing enabling laws, policies to ensure that children and all target groups.
The event is to draw attention to the plight of children who are the main victims during conflicts across the world. Emmanuel Ehijene, CoreTV News, Abuja.
We'll go for a break now, and when we return, we'll bring more stories from within Nigeria. Stay with us.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Welcome back. Here is a reminder of our top stories tonight. And don't forget, you can get more info on these top stories on our social media platform. You can follow us on Facebook, that's facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also follow the conversation on Twitter, that's at CoreTV News NG. You can visit our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV News. Still in the news, Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai is decrying the level of decay of infrastructure in army barracks across the country, describing the situation as disappointing. Buratai said this at the commissioning of some renovated residential accommodation for soldiers and newly built administrative blocks at Jaji Military Cantonment, Kaduna. Our correspondent brings us more.
The newly built administrative blocks at Jaji Military Cantonment in Kaduna State. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai blames the deplorable condition of most army facilities across the country on long years of neglect and poor budgetary allocation to renovation and construction of barracks accommodation. It says the state of dilapidation and state of decay in the barracks is not encouraging, adding that many of his men stay under strenuous conditions. Buratai says the present army administration is looking inward to find solutions to the infrastructure decay in barracks, adding that the ongoing renovation in military barracks will encourage soldiers to do more for the country.
I say this because a lot will now be expected from you by your superiors as you return to your respective military units. You must live up to expectation.
He adds that strict measures for maintenance will be put in place to entrench maintenance culture in the barracks, while assuring soldiers and officers of the administration's commitment to improving the welfare of their families at all times. The Chief of Army Staff has also inspected other ongoing construction of soldiers' accommodation and offices at the Jaji Cantonment. Projects commissioned also include Warrant Officer Academy, Soldiers Hostel, among others.
Suspected killers of Colonel Samaila Inusa are to remain in prison custody till the 21st of July 2016, when the case come up for mentioning. The suspect, Emeka Okeke, 44, Kabiru Ibrahim, 23, Chijoke Ogwai, 41, and Ibele Precious, 43, have been arraigned before the magistrate court for criminal conspiracy, armed robbery, illegal possession of firearms, kidnapping, and culpable homicide punishable by death. Our correspondent completes the story.
Suspected killers of Colonel Samaila Inusa
have been arraigned before a magistrate court for criminal conspiracy, armed robbery, illegal possession of firearms, kidnapping and culpable homicide. In his ruling, the chief magistrate says the suspects will be read their offences and remanded in prison pending police conclusive investigation, after which they will be charged accordingly. The case has also been adjourned till the 21st of July 2016 for mentioning, while the accused persons are to be remanded in prison custody. Recall that the Kaduna State Police Commissioner Adamu Ibrahim had paraded the suspect following the arrest, where upon interrogation, the prime suspect, Okeke, confessed that they never intended to kill Inusa. He informed that his group only specializes in car snatching, stressing that they are not kidnappers. Meanwhile, one of the suspects, known as Dan Sokoto, is still at large. Counsel to the Nigerian Police Force further explains the stand of the police.
We have charged them with criminal conspiracy, armed robbery, kidnapping, and culpable homicide punishable with death. You know that the court has no jurisdiction to try, so the court has appropriately remanded them. We will transmit the case file, the duplicate case file, to the DPP for advice and prosecution.
Late Colonel Inusa was kidnapped in March this year in Kaduna and his decomposing body found 2 days after at a Kaduna village. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and other anti-corruption agencies are being charged to go after professionals who assist corrupt politicians in the country to launder or embezzle public money. The anti-corruption campaigners made the call at a workshop on the role of professionals in the fight against corruption in Abuja. They expressed concerns that the agencies, saddled with the responsibility of prosecuting corrupt individuals, very often neglect those who aided the crime. Our correspondent, Basil Okafo, has more.
It is no doubt that the war against corruption has received more impetus since the beginning of this present administration. But many express worry that those who allegedly collude with government officials to siphon monies entrusted in their care are not being prosecuted by the EFCC. They argue that bankers and accountants are usually neck deep in any big fraud or high corruption case, adding that no politician or top civil servant will on his own embezzle funds without an accountant or local bankers rendering assistance.
There's no doubt that these people are being assisted, and you will see that in recent times it's become necessary for even lawyers who are assisting in this process to be arrested and tried.
When we are talking about professionals, we need an enabling environment. We need the partnership with government. Government needs to take the professionals into confidence before we can practice our professions successfully.
Professional bodies such as the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, Nigeria Bar Association, NBA, and others have been advised to ensure that their members abide by their code of ethics in order not to aid and abet corrupt practices.
We think that they should go beyond arresting and prosecuting politically exposed persons alone. Those who have supported them, the lawyers, the accountants, the auditors, the estate surveyors or estate valuers who know that the person who is asking you to look for a 1 billion property is a civil servant and that his salary cannot support that, but they just keep quiet or look the other way, we think that they should go after those people as well.
The event was organized by Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption to elicit the support of professionals in the war against corruption in the country. Basil Okafo, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And now embattled factional chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Ali Modu Sheriff, has agreed to refund 40 million naira after being grilled for about 7 hours before the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. The amount is what he allegedly benefited from out of the 24.29 billion naira pool cash facilitated by former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Diziani Alison Madueke. Meanwhile, Sheriff has been granted an administrative bail by the operatives of the Anti-Graft Agency at its Maiduguri office, Borno State. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has filed a 17-count charge against former aviation minister and spokesman for the Goodluck Jonathan campaign organization, Femi Fani-Kayode, over an alleged 1.5 billion naira fraud. A former Minister of Finance, Nenadi Usman, a firm Joint Trust Dimensions Limited, one Danjuma Yusuf, and another Olubode Oke, said to be at large, were also charged alongside Fani-Kayode. The defendants are expected to be arraigned at the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos as soon as the case is assigned to a judge. A copy of the charge shows that while Fani-Kayode is being named in all 17 counts, the former Minister of Finance was only named in the first 4 counts of the charge. In the first count, Usman Fani-Kayode Yusuf and Joint Trust Dimensions Nigeria Limited, on or about June 8, 2015, within the jurisdiction of the court, conspired to indirectly retain the sum of 1.5 billion naira, a sum the EFCC said they reasonably ought to have known formed part of the proceeds of an unlawful act of stealing.
What we want is Sheriff should leave PDP alone if he cannot maintain peace. Yes. You understand me? Sheriff should leave PDP alone if he cannot maintain peace. The Edo election is coming up. Ondo is coming up. How then can we contest in Edo and win and Ondo with all this that is going on? Sheriff should just pay this one sacrifice. When Mwazu lost the presidential election, he gave up. Which a second to try to pick up. But when he said that he's not with the majority, he just stepped down. We don't know that thing that Sheriff is looking for. Sheriff, that is why all of us will believe that Sheriff is being sponsored by APC. They want to bring this party down so that even in 2019, they will not only molest, they will not only sideline our leaders with the EFCC and the court, they will even come and destroy our party. That is why we are saying no to Sheriff.
These are not the best of times for the People's Democratic Party, which since losing the April 2015 general elections has been embroiled in one crisis or another in the last 72 hours at the party's National Secretariat, Wadata Plaza, Abuja. Correspondent Christian Ogodo brings us update. Moving on, the People's Democratic Party says the security agencies in the country should stand by democracy in responding to the crisis of leadership currently rocking the party. Chairman of the Interim Management Committee of the party, Amen McCarthy, while speaking to newsmen after the meeting of stakeholders of the party with its governors, urges all party members to be law-abiding while also charging those interfering in the internal affairs of the party to stop doing so. Kazim Kasali has more in this report.
After the confrontations earlier in the day at the party's headquarters, governors and stakeholders of the party are here meeting over the state of affairs in the party. At the end of it all, in the early hours of today, the chairman of the Interim Management Committee of the party says the issue within the party is a clear case of interference from outside forces.
Especially since Monday, we are all witnesses to the thuggery that took place. Actually, those who remember how Boko Haram was born, that's really how it started.
For his part, Ekiti State Governor, who is alleged to be one of the major backers of the former Borno State Governor Ali Modu Sheriff, distances himself from his actions, describing it as one that is akin to destroying the PDP.
And any attempt to destroy opposition in Nigeria is not going to be in the interest of democracy. We stand as a party to condemn interference, subtle and strategic effort to destroy the PDP in Nigeria.
He discloses that his relationship with him was for the good of the party, but since he is no longer on that path, it is over between them. Kazim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Rumors making the rounds is that hospitals are charging patients heavily for blood transfusion after taking blood samples from Good Samaritans in the country. This has caused a loss of lives of poor masses who cannot afford the amount being charged. Correspondent Inkiruka Inyanligo brings us a report on a school's debate held Thursday on blood donation.
In a school debate organized by NBTS and WHO, the national coordinator of NBTS says, although there are procedures taken to screen and preserve blood which will require some money, it is improper to charge a dying patient heavily for transfusion. Measures will be put in place by the Ministry of Health with the Blood Safety Bill to regulate the price of blood in hospitals.
We, as the NBTS, charge a handling fee of 2,000 naira. So ideally, once the blood is obtained from the National Blood Service to the hospital's mandate is to just group and cross-match this blood and then transfuse.
Some of the participants of the debate says it is an act of greed and wickedness to sell blood to people.
One can never tell the situation he or she will find himself tomorrow. So therefore, there is a need for someone to be conscious of the thing they do here on earth.
I strongly disagree to that saying that people should be paid or people get paid, because first of all, life is priceless. Life is priceless. There's no amount of money you can give if someone is dead that will bring that person back.
Blood donation, many agree, is good, but yet many are afraid to donate blood for fear of exposing themselves to discoveries of certain ailments, especially HIV and AIDS. The call again is going out for many more people to save lives with blood.
The significant role of financial institutions in the achievement of the 2030 Sustainability Development Goal is the focus of the lecture organized by the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. At the interaction tagged Sustainable Development Goals and the Financial Service Sector, speakers emphasized the relevance of financial sector in meeting the objectives of the treaty. Akin Obake completes the story.
No poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education. These are part of the goals the world hopes to achieve by the year 2030. The financial sector recognizes its key role as one of the players, as well as an important driver in achieving these targets.
The financial services sector will play fundamental roles in the achievement of these goals. The banking sector in particular, by virtue of its financial intermediating function, receives deposits from the public and in turn lends out the funds for productive purposes.
With this in mind, there is a need for Nigeria to, with every sense of seriousness, work towards attaining the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals.
The SDGs generally acknowledge that financial inclusion and sustainable development are very much linked.
Many countries on September 25, 2015, adopted a set of goals to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure prosperity for all as part of a new sustainable development agenda. Each goal has specific targets to be achieved over the next 15 years, hence the projection 2030. Akin Obakeye, CoreTV News, Lagos.
And now, Royal Freshland Campina, makers of pig milk, is launching a new nutritional milk product, Pig 456, specially formulated for children between the age of 4 and 6, into the Nigerian market. The dairy product, which comprises of DHA, is aimed at improving the brain growth of children in their first 5 years. Akin Obakeye completes the story.
From pregnancy, it is essential for mothers to eat meals with right amount of nutritional value for children to have the desired physical and mental development. Freshland Campina had introduced Pig 123 some years ago, but the company says the introduction of the new Pig 456 completes the significant requirement for children within the age bracket of 4 to 6.
One thing which is extremely important is in the golden years of life, bring back the nutrition that's important. With Peak 456, you can fill the gaps and give specialized nutrition that can make their future bright and also make them strong and smart.
The availability of such products for all class of people in Nigeria is essential, as the brand manager assures the affordability of Peak 456.
It is affordable. It is priced at parity, which means it's the same price as family milk powder. Although it is better for your child in that it's formulated specially for their nutritional requirements, we as a company have still made it affordable for them.
The official unveiling of the Peak 456 is done with high-profile nutritionists endorsing the new product. Friesland campaigner says the Peak 456 for children is now available in the market. Akin Obakeye, CoreTV News, Lagos.
We'll take a quick break now, and when we return, we'll bring you more stories from outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Welcome back, and now on the foreign scene, the wreckage of the Egypt Air flight MS-804 that went missing over the Mediterranean last month has been found. There were 66 people on board the flight when it crashed on May 19, 2016, while flying from Paris to Cairo. A deep-sea search vessel sent back the first images of the wreckage. The Airbus A320 plane vanished from Greek and Egyptian radar screens without having sent a distress call. The body of a 2-year-old boy who was seized by an alligator at Walt Disney World in Florida has been recovered. The 2-year-old was dragged into the water by the alligator on Tuesday evening, right in the presence of his helpless family members. After the attack, 5 alligators were seized and killed in an attempt to find the boy's remains. Still on the foreign scene, the United Nations investigators says the Islamic State is committing the crime of genocide against the Yazidis in Syria and Iraq. The group is seeking to destroy ethno-religious group of 400,000 people through killings, sexual slavery and other crimes. The Islamist militants had captured Yazidis in Iraq and Syria systematically since August 2014, seeking to erase their identity. 4 independent commissioners have urged major powers to rescue at least 300 to 100 women and children still held by Islamic State and to refer the case to the International Criminal Court (ICC) for prosecution. A member of the British Parliament has been injured after being attacked in northern England by a gunman. Reports reveal that the Labour Party member Jo Cox, 41 years, had been shot after advised surgery in Bristol, near the city of Leeds. A mother of 2, Cox has been a member of Parliament since 2015 and chairs the All-Party Parliamentary Committee on Syria. Phillips added. West Yorkshire police say a 52-year-old man had been arrested by armed police and that a woman in her 40s had suffered serious injuries. And now on Sport News.
Our style, and that's what he delivered.
Daniel Strockfield scored an injury-time winner as England came from behind to beat Wales and secure their first victory at Euro 2016. England goalkeeper Joe Hart's dreadful blunder allowed Gareth Bale's 30-yard free kick to creep in and put Wales ahead just before the interval in Lens. Manager Roy Hodgson's side were jeered off at the break, and with England's campaign and arguably his future on the line, he gambled by introducing Jamie Vardy and Strockfield from the struggling Raheem Sterling and Harry Kane. The roll of the dice worked as Vardy scrambled in an equalizer from close range after 56 minutes before constant England pressure saw Sturridge walk his way into the area and poke past keeper Wayne Hennessy at the near post. England moved top of Group B and need a point against Slovakia on Monday to earn automatic qualification into the last 16, while Wales must beat Russia to guarantee a top 2 finish. So the sport news, Northern Ireland shocked Ukraine 2-0 in Euro 2016 Group C in Lyon on Thursday, thanks to goals from Garrett, Macaulay and Neil McGinn to keep alive their hopes of reaching the knockout phase at Euro 2016. A flying header from veteran West Bromwich Albion defender Macaulay and McGuinness injury-time strike at a hailstone battered state, the Lion gave Ireland their first ever goals at the European Championship finals. Having recovered after losing their Euro 2016 opener 1-0 to Poland, Michael O'Neill's Irish now has everything to play for against the world champions Germany in their final group game on Tuesday. Before we go, here is a reminder of our top stories tonight. With that, we've come to the end of the news, the primetime news on CoreTV. I am Anoluwa Polofela. Thanks for staying with us.